Hello, this is Ron Kercher with part 2 of Kercher History, and if you haven't caught part 1, please see part 1 before you see part 2. I'm here with my uncle, David Kercher, who will be narrating part 2.
181, 182, and 183 is the writings in the Reading Eagle of the paper of my grandparents, Clarence Kercher, and his wife, my grandmother, Rachel Null Kercher, their divorce proceedings in 1932. My dad, which is John Daniel Kercher Sr., he would have been about 10 years old when this was finalized, and he became the man of the family until my grandmother later met her second husband, Carl Thren. This was a pretty big deal when these kind of things got into the local newspaper, and this was found through a young lady by the name of Debbie Sands, and my brother Tim was dating, and they had broken off, and later in life she got married, and her husband bought a home down in the Ole Valley, and they were going through some cleaning out some artifacts that were found in this house, and this is part of what she found, and she got in contact with my sister-in-law, Barb Kercher, and we later had this thing put on to film so we could keep it as part of our history. Pictures 184, 185, 186, and 187 are articles about my father, John Daniel Kercher Sr., who fought in the Pacific against Japanese. There was an article where they were attacked on an island and only a few gentlemen survived. My father was one of the lucky ones to be survived. In the article, it states how he was a very small-statured man, where the bullets were hitting his backpack in the back and spinning him around, but he had a Bible that had a metal casing around it, and there was actually indentations from where the bullets hit that casing that didn't actually penetrate him. So that's pretty interesting, because the Kerchers would, as far as our immediate family, would not be here today if he would have been killed in WW2. 188, 189, 191, 190, 192, 193 are articles about my father getting a citation from the Army on the battle that they had fought in the Philippine Islands. Article 194 is a article that was in the Reading paper that my grandmother, Rachel Null Thren, and her husband, Carl Thren, entertained a party when my father came home from the service with his best friend, Elwood Trevel. And my mother was there, and relatives on my mother's side of the family, and also Elwood's future wife, Fern Leinbach Trevel, was also there. Picture 195 is a picture with a friend of my Uncle Gus, Sinistri. They were on the Schuylkill River on a, it looks like a sled of some sort rigged up with a fan. Picture 196 is a picture of my father smoking a cigarette in the Philippine Islands. 197 is a picture of my father probably home and leave before he shipped out. Picture 198 is a picture of my mother with a gentleman who I do not know who it is playing a guitar. Picture 199 is Ralph Bigany, who was friends of my parents, who lived down off the Friedensburg Road. We did a lot of Christmas parties there as kids. Picture 200 is my Aunt Angeline, better known as Angie, and my mother riding a bicycle. Picture 201 is my older brother, John Daniel Kercher Sr., with a neighborhood kid when we lived in Five Points, Gary Ohlweiler, youngest son of Sam and Fern Ohlweiler. Picture 202 is my mother holding my brother Tim, and that is myself sitting next to my mother at Pershing Boulevard. Picture 203 is my older brother John's train set up in the dining room of 42 Pershing Boulevard. Picture 204 is the bedroom on the second floor of 42 Pershing Boulevard. That's me to the left, and that's my older brother John holding my brother Tim. 205 is in the living room, 42 Pershing Boulevard, with John and myself. We received air rifles, I think, for Christmas. Picture 206 is a family photo in the living room at 42 Pershing Boulevard at Christmas time. That's my father sitting in the chair holding my brother John, and That's my mother holding me. Picture 207 is my brother Tim and my brother John playing some kind of game. Picture 208 is Tim and myself on Christmas morning at 42 Pershing Boulevard. Picture 209 is my Aunt Angie Sinistry Wyke, who got married to Richard Wyke, better known as Uncle Rich, in Elkins, Maryland. Picture 210 is the backyard of 42 Pershing Boulevard. I am to the left. My brother John is in the middle. My brother Tim is to the far right. Picture 211 is myself to the left. My brother John in the middle with a bow tie, and my brother Tim is to the far right. Picture 212 is Aunt Angie and Uncle Rich's wedding reception at the Silver Swallows Club in Alice's Township. Picture 213 is my dad's aunt and uncle, Irvie and Lillian Null. I want to say it was an anniversary party, probably for their 50th wedding anniversary. Picture 214 is my Aunt Angie with my brother John at a birthday party, probably for John, at Pershing Boulevard. Picture 215 is down at the homestead on Silver Swallows Road, and the young lady is Susan Day and my brother John and Gary Ohlweiler. Later on in life, Gary Ohlweiler married Susan Day as his second wife. Picture 216 is my brother John, and picture 217, not really sure, think it possibly could be my cousin Craig. Picture 218 is in the basement of Sue and Sam Ohlweiler Sr. In the photo is Sammy Ohlweiler Jr., his wife Fern, who was my aunt and later was my aunt, and my godmother. The other couple I'm not sure of. Sue Ohlweiler holding Gary Ohlweiler, young lady next to him I'm not sure of. And then young Sammy, and then Sam Ohlweiler Sr. is to your far right. Yeah. Picture 219 is my brother John in the Cub Scouts in the troop in Kenhurst, and they were based out of the Kenhurst Community Center. Picture 220 is in the basement of St. Luke's United Kercher Trice, which at that time was St. Matthew's. The gentleman to the far left is my brother John. The fellow next to him is Les White. The fellow next to him is Dave Burrell. The fellow next to him is Cowden. I can't remember his first name. The gentleman next to him is Bobby Clicks. Then the guy next to him is Terry Glass, and the kid at the far right is Jerry Kistler. Jerry Kistler and I got to know each other a little better later on in life when I was still working at the car dealership. Jerry was a used car lot salesperson and was a wholesaler. Picture 221 is my younger brother Timothy, and myself sitting outside the White House in Washington, D.C. Must have been a Cub Scout trip down to Washington. Picture 222 is at Camp Shikellamy. Kid in the front with the striped shirt is my brother Tim. I'm in the back eating a chunk of watermelon, one of the smaller guys. The guy directly in back of me to the left is Barry Bechtel, who was a neighborhood kid. He lived in Pershing Boulevard. And the real big guy in the back was Don Horn, who lived out in Angelica. Picture 223 is my brother Tim heading off to scout camp. Looks like outside the house at 42 Pershing Boulevard. Picture 224 is my brother Tim with Assistant Scoutmaster Judge Paul Yatrin, who was later on in life was a judge in Berks County and actually was the president of the Judges Association. This is one of my dad's fishing trips that he did pretty much on an annual basis with some gentlemen that he met from Precision Drawn Steel Company in New Jersey. He would go fishing. They went out of Braille, New Jersey. Every year they went blue fishing, like late August, early September. I had the opportunity to go twice. Very first time I went, I got so seasick, I thought I was going to literally die. I have soon learned to take Dramamine and wear little handcuffs so I don't get seasick. And in the last 5 years, I've been out tuna fishing and I have not gotten seasick. Picture 227 is a picture of all the bluefish, they call it. Picture 228 is my father and another gentleman, probably the mate, helping icing up the bluefish. Okay, this is picture 229 is a picture of my uncle Richard Wyke, better known as Uncle Rich, and his wife Angie Sinistry Wyke at their home in Kenhurst on Liberty Avenue. Picture here in 230 is at the farm in Charlottesville at Tony and Jimmy's. picture is my Uncle Wayne, my Uncle Rich sitting in the first chair, and my grandfather, Clarence, sitting in the middle, and the woman all the way to the right, I can't tell who it is. And picture 231 is a picture of my Uncle Anthony Sinistri, better known as Uncle Tony. Him and my Uncle Jimmy Sinistri lived in a farm in Charlottesville, and they had ponies, they had chickens, they had cow or two, and they farmed, and they did that for many, many years. Spent a lot of time up there at picnics over the years as kids. Matter of fact, I spent 1 or 2 summers there in July working with them on the farm, and that was hard work, hard work. Picture 232, Easter Sunday at my parents' home at the time at 42 Pershing Boulevard, is my cousin Roger, his daughter Anne Marie, his son Little Roger, my uncle Dominic, which is Roger's father, Roger's wife Pat, and his oldest daughter Sherry. Picture 233 is in the kitchen at Pershing Boulevard. It's my father, looks like my Aunt Mary, and my Uncle Eddie playing a violin or a fiddle. Picture 234 is at Pershing Boulevard in the dining room. It's my Aunt Angie Sinistri Wyke, my Uncle Richard Wyke, my brother Timothy, friends of my uncle and aunt, Pee Wee Williams, his wife Janice, my dad in the corner, in the front there, chugging something down, looks like myself. Gentleman with the bow tie is my Uncle Gus, which is Nancy's father. Gentleman next to him is his older brother, Tony Sinistri. Gentleman with the glasses having his hand at his throat is my Uncle Edward Sinistri, which is Tony's younger brother. Those two gentlemen, Tony and Ed, were the only 2 children that were born in Italy that came to the United States with their mother later on after my grandfather had established himself. And the young lady there is my cousin Nancy. She is the only female cousin on the Sinistri side. Picture 235 and picture 236 is my cousin Craig and his wife Peggy. Craig is the oldest child of my Uncle Bobby Kercher and his wife Hilda. The church was at the Church of the Brethren in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Okay, picture 237 is, I don't really remember who the gentleman is, but it's the woman in the middle is my dad's aunt, and she lived down in Collegeville. That's my father and his cousin and her husband. Gramus was their last name, and they also lived in Collegeville, and that was also at Craig and Peggy's wedding. Picture 238 is my cousin Nancy Sinistri Wheeler. The gentleman sitting to her right is my Uncle Tony Sinistri. Picture 239 is my next door neighbor, Dottie Ann Lord Rosetta, who was married to Gary Lord at St. John's Catholic Church in Shillington, Pennsylvania on Wyomissing Avenue. Picture 240 is Christmas time at the Kercher home at 42 Pershing Boulevard. That's Tim to the left, my cousin Nancy in the middle, myself to the far right, and my second cousin, Sherry Sinistri Fallon, holding her sister Anne Marie Sinistri Boyer. Okay, picture 241 is Kelly Kercher, who's the oldest daughter of Craig and Peggy Kercher. She was the oldest second cousin and third cousin until Hannah Brooke Kercher was born to Heather and Warren Kercher. Picture 242 is my brother Tim, probably an elementary school picture. Picture 243 is my second cousin Sherry Sinistri Fallon. Picture 244 is a picture of my cousin Kim Kercher Schlegel, probably high school picture. Picture 245 is Craig and Peggy's second daughter, Laura Kercher. Picture 246 is my cousin Nancy, probably elementary school picture. She is the daughter of 2 Gus and Barb Sinistri. Picture 247, I don't know. Picture 248 is myself in elementary school. And everybody says I look like Paul from the Wonder Years in this picture. Picture 249 is my second cousin, Faye Null Hafer. She was the daughter of Lil and Irby Null. Picture 250 is my second cousin Anne-Marie Sinistri Boyer, daughter of Pat and Roger Sinistri. Picture 251 is my second cousin Sherry Sinistri Fallon, daughter of Roger and Pat Sinistri. 252 is a picture of my cousin Nancy Sinistri Wheeler. Looks like her high school picture. Picture 253 is my second cousin Jerry Sinistri Fallon. Picture 254 is my cousin Craig Kercher, his graduation picture from Wally Valley High School. He is the son of Bobby and Hilda Kercher. 255 is Craig's daughter Kelly. And picture 256 is my cousin Nancy Sinistri, daughter of Gus and Barb Sinistri. Picture 257 is my father, John Kercher Sr., myself in the middle, and my brother Tim to the far right, St. Lawrence Seaway. Picture 258 is my father John Daniel Kercher Sr., my mother Rose Sinistri Kercher, myself in front of my father, and my brother Tim to my far right in front of my mother. 259 is at Niagara Falls. I'm the gentleman to the far left, my brother John Daniel Kercher Jr. in the middle, and my younger brother to the right is Timothy Edward Kercher. Picture 260 is my father, John Daniel Kercher Sr., fishing in Canada. 261 is also a picture of them fishing. I'm not sure where that's at. Picture 262 is coming back from a deep sea fishing trip. It's my dad, John Daniel Kercher Sr., with the dark shirt on. In the back of him is my brother John Daniel Kercher Jr. Next to him, to his right, is my grandfather Clarence Kercher. Next to him is my uncle Robert Kercher. Next to him is a gentleman I do not know. Next to him is my brother Timothy Kercher. And the gentleman at the very right is my uncle Richard Wyke. Picture 263, I don't know who those gentlemen are, but I'm figuring it's a fishing trip in Canada. 264 is my dad catching a lake trout in Canada. Picture 265 is myself at the organ and my cousin Roger playing the accordion. That was at Christmas time at our home at 42 Pershing Boulevard. My mother had this big feeling where she felt like I was going to be a musician, and I took the organ for 7 years, and I couldn't wait till I got to 7th grade where I could go out and play sports. And that's when the organ had a sheet put over it, and it was covered, and never played it again. My cousin Roger, who was on the accordion, was quite talented. I was not. Picture 266 is my father, John Daniel Kercher Sr., my mother, Rose Sinistri Kercher, my grandfather, Clarence Kercher, my aunt Hilda Daughtry Kercher, and my uncle Bob Kercher. Picture 267 is my uncle Dominic Sinistri, who remarried to the woman who was his wife when he passed on, Fern O'Wauer Sinistri, who was also my godmother. Picture 268 is my brother John, my mother Rose, my brother Tim, my father John, and myself Dave. I don't know where the picture was taken. Picture 269 is the night of graduation of myself, David Kercher, class of 1971 from Governor Mifflin High School, Shillington, Pennsylvania. Picture 270 is my younger brother Tim Kercher getting ready for a hiking trip. Looks like it's in the back of 42 Pershing Boulevard because we used to have cedar trees back there. Picture 271 is my first cousin Kim Kercher Schlegel with her husband Ricky. They are since divorced. And my cousin's wife Peggy and my cousin Craig at my grandfather and his third wife May's home on 5th Street in Reading, Pennsylvania. Picture 272 is my brother John Daniel Kercher Jr. graduating from Penn State University at Beaver Stadium in May of 1970. Picture 273 is a picture of my mother's brothers and sisters up at Uncle Gusty and Barbara's place along the Schuylkill River. The first gentleman on the top to the left is my Uncle Gus. Next one is my mother Rose. The next person is my Aunt Angie. Next person to the very right is my Aunt Florence. Down below, sitting on the couch, is James Sinistri, better known as Jimmy. Edward Sinistri, better known as Uncle Eddie. Anthony Sinistri, better known as Uncle Tony. And my Aunt Mary Sinistri Schaefer. The only one that's not there is Dominic, who was already deceased. Picture 274 is Terry Burkhart, who's deceased. My brother Timothy in the middle, and our next door neighbor to the right was Ricky John Rosetter. These were Tim's childhood best buddies, and were best buddies until Terry was the first one of the gentlemen to pass away. Rick and Tim are still very, very close and do a lot of stuff on a weekly basis. Picture 275 is my brother John, home from the summer of his third year at Penn State. Picture 276 is my brother John home on summer break from Penn State University. Picture 277 is a picture of my Aunt Angeline, better known as Aunt Angie, and her husband Richard White, better known as Uncle Rich or Dick. Looks like a picture along the top of Hockin Creek. Picture 278 is my mother to about the middle of the picture to the left, and my father across to the right, with a bow tie on, someone's wedding reception, but I do not know who. Picture 279 is a picture of my father at the very bottom, John Daniel Kercher Sr., his father, Clarence Kercher, Robert Kercher, better known as Uncle Bobby, another gentleman I do not know, my brother John Daniel Kercher Sr., my brother Timothy Edward Kercher, my uncle Richard White. Picture 280 is Pat Sinistri sitting in the chair, is Fern Olweiler Sinistri, who was my aunt and my godmother, and her husband, which was her second husband, my uncle Dominic Sinistri, and his son sitting in the chair is my first cousin and the oldest cousin on the Sinistri side, Roger Sinistri. The woman to the left is my step-grandmother, Faye Fosnut Kercher, who married my grandfather, which this was his third wife, Clarence Kercher. Picture 282 is my father, John Daniel Kercher Sr. The woman in the middle is his sister, Anna Kercher Ortiz, and the gentleman at the far right is Robert Kercher, better known as Uncle Bobby. 283 is my brother Tim, graduating from high school, Governor Mifflin in Shillington, Pennsylvania, class of 1973. Picture 284 is a friend of my brother John from junior high and high school, Darwin Oogie Kerper. They were classmates at Governor Mifflin High, class of 66. Picture 285 is myself to the very left, David Anthony Kercher. Gentleman next to me is Roger Sinistri. He is the oldest cousin on the Sinistri side. The girl is Nancy Sinistri Wheeler. She is the only female cousin on the Sinistri side. Is my brother John Daniel Kercher Jr. and my brother Timothy Edward Kercher at the very end. And we're at Angie and Rich's house in Kenhurst.
Thanks a lot, Uncle Dave. This concludes part 2 of Kercher history.